Body language, a powerful form of nonverbal communication. Body language, also known as nonverbals, encompasses all forms of communication that do not involve words. From how we dress, walk, sit, to how we look or make subtle gestures, all of these reflect what is happening in our minds. Even when not speaking, people constantly send signals through their presence. Joe Navarro, a former FBI agent with 25 years of experience in counterintelligence, emphasizes that understanding body language is a crucial tool in assessing and approaching others. He served in the National Security Division, specializing in monitoring and handling suspects. One of his key tasks was to enter the minds of these individuals, and that's where body language came into play. Navarro explains that personal safety also relies heavily on our ability to read nonverbals. We glance through peepholes before opening doors, and we check who is behind us at ATMs. These instincts are formed based on nonverbal cues. No matter how modern we become, humans are still nonverbal creatures. Nonverbal communication makes up the majority of social interactions, directly impacting relationships, work, and personal safety. Common misconceptions about body language. In daily life, we constantly judge others based on nonverbal behaviors, how they look, stand, fold their arms, or express with their faces. However, Joe Navarro, former FBI agent, aims to clear up some common misconceptions about body language. One of the biggest myths is that crossing arms indicates defensiveness or unwillingness to listen. According to Navarro, this is entirely false. Crossing arms is actually a form of self-comfort, similar to giving oneself a hug. When watching movies, waiting, or standing in public spaces, people often cross their arms to feel safer, especially in crowded places. Conversely, this behavior rarely occurs in private settings. Another false belief is that if someone looks to the left or right while speaking, they must be lying. In reality, eye direction simply reflects how the brain processes information and cannot be used to detect deception. Additionally, behaviors like throat clearing, touching the nose, or covering the mouth are often mistaken as signs of lying. Navarro affirms that these are merely self-soothing actions, natural and instinctive, unrelated to hiding the truth. There's no scientific evidence supporting the Pinocchio effect, the idea that the body clearly reveals lies through specific gestures. He concludes, humans are actually quite bad at detecting lies. Therefore, judging honesty should be based on overall behavior, context, and unusual changes, not isolated actions. Real-world counterintelligence, when small details reveal big truths. Real-life counterintelligence is not as dramatic as it appears in movies. According to Joe Navarro, success mostly stems from sharp observation and behavioral analysis, not aggressive interrogation. In a typical case, the FBI received intelligence from another country about a foreign spy hiding in the US under the guise of a US citizen. This person was captured on camera leaving a flower shop. When the team analyzed the footage, most people noticed nothing suspicious, just someone buying flowers and getting into a car. However, Navarro paused the footage at the moment the man held the bouquet. While most Americans hold flowers by the stems with blooms pointing upward, this man held them downward, gripping near the blossoms, a style common in Eastern Europe, where the man was suspected to have ties. Instead of confronting him directly with "Are you a spy?" Navarro used a psychological technique called a presumptive statement, a confident assumption stated as fact. He said, "Do you want to know how we knew? It was the bouquet." In that moment, the man's facial reaction said it all. He was stunned and then confessed. Through this story, Navarro highlights how detecting the smallest behaviors can unlock the biggest truths. In intelligence work, even the tiniest nonverbal cues can serve as living proof. Behavioral observation. The key lies in patience and attention to detail. When Joe Navarro first entered law enforcement, he believed that a confession was the key to solving cases. But after 25 years in the FBI, he realized that the most important factor wasn't what people said, but how long you spent with them and what you observed. In extended conversations, most individuals will eventually reveal what you need to know, not because they're coerced, but because humans cannot help but transmit nonverbal signals. The observer's task is to read those signs and ask the right questions at the right moment, based on body reactions. Navarro starts his analysis with the smallest details, the hair and forehead. Dry, messy hair might indicate neglect or prolonged stress. The forehead, particularly wrinkles, stores the traces of life experiences, including anxiety, pressure, and suffering. Next are the eyes and the area between the eyebrows, called the glabella, a region highly sensitive to emotion. Many people scrunch their noses unconsciously, like a rabbit, when they dislike something, a subtle sign of displeasure. Lips also serve as key indicators. We tend to press them together when annoyed and retract them inward when under stress. Finally, the jaw and cheeks often reveal self-soothing behaviors, such as pressing the tongue against the cheek from inside. Notably, when someone tries to hide this, it's a sign of perception management, and it's that act of concealment that draws attention. Signals from the neck, shoulders, arms, and legs, a full-body emotional map. In The Art of Reading People, Joe Navarro emphasizes that every part of the body, from the neck to the shoulders, arms, legs, and even feet, can reveal inner emotional states. Skilled observers don't stop at the face, but scan the entire body to detect micro-reactions to stimuli. In the neck area, Navarro looks for head tilt. A slight tilt often suggests relaxation and friendliness. In contrast, when the neck straightens suddenly and the head becomes rigid, it may signal defensiveness or insecurity. Shoulders are also honest indicators. When someone doesn't know the answer or feels unsure, both shoulders tend to rise simultaneously, in stiff and unconscious behavior reflecting doubt or lack of information. Regarding hands, Navarro watches for two behaviors. Under pressure, people often interlace fingers into a pyramid and gently sway their hands, a form of self-comfort. On the other hand, when asserting power, people form a steeple, hands pressed together like a roof, commonly seen in confident individuals. When someone places hands on hips, it's called arms akimbo, a posture that signifies dominance and space claiming. However, when the thumbs point forward, it could indicate curiosity rather than aggression. Navarro also pays attention to ventilating behaviors, like men pulling at their collars to release stress. Under the table, rubbing thighs or sudden leg movements may signal anxiety, especially when triggered by a specific question. No judgment, only evaluation. Nonverbals as a live data stream. Joe Navarro emphasizes that the study of nonverbal behavior isn't about judging others, but about evaluating what someone is communicating in the present moment. Humans constantly emit signals through clothing choices, walking styles, or energy levels when entering a room. Every action can reflect emotional states, intentions, or comfort levels. For instance, the same person may walk into the office with energy on Monday, but drag their feet on Friday. What matters is the change in behavior, not the behavior itself. Even small variations can reveal internal psychological shifts or personal circumstances. Navarro breaks down seemingly trivial details. Where someone walks on the sidewalk, inside or outside, walking speed, blink rate, typically around 8 times per minute. Even behaviors like frequently checking a watch may indicate stress, impatience, or restlessness. Counterintelligence professionals and behavior analysts never focus on a single gesture. They weave together all signals into a coherent picture, then assess, is this person hiding something? Is further investigation needed? Navarro's message is clear. We are always communicating, whether we speak or not. Reading nonverbal cues is like accessing a live data stream. The only question is, who's sharp enough to decode it? But a critical moment, the power of touch and personal space in communication. In Western culture, the first contact between two people often happens through a handshake. This is not just a polite ritual, but a critical moment for forming connection and gauging initial emotions. Navarro explains that during a handshake, the body releases bonding chemicals, allowing us to sense whether we like the other person. When communication begins, physical distance and personal space significantly affect comfort levels. Navarro gives the example of two people standing close together. They often subconsciously adjust their distance to feel more at ease. When asked to find a comfortable position, they instinctively step back or shift, making subtle movements like adjusting foot placement. These cues indicate uncertainty and social discomfort. The ability to detect and manage personal space is vital, especially in social or professional settings, where appropriate distance fosters trust and rapport. Navarro stresses that small actions like stepping back or adjusting one's stance clearly indicates someone trying to regulate their comfort zone. Understanding the role of touch and personal space enables us to recognize when someone feels uneasy or is trying to create distance, allowing us to adapt our communication to improve relationships and enhance message clarity.